You wake up before your alarm, heart already racing. You scan the room. Nothing's wrong, but your body doesn't believe that. Maybe it's the way you flinch at raised voices, the way scarcity, even the idea of running out of money, food, or love, sends something cold through your chest. The way you can't fully exhale, even on a good day. Doctors call it anxiety, therapists call it hypervigilance, and most of us quietly wonder, why am I like this? Why does my life feel safe, but I don't? Here's something science is only beginning to understand. Those patterns, the ones that feel older than you, heavier than your own life experiences, may not have started with you at all. They may have started 20,000 years ago. Today on Ancestor Tactics, we're going deep into one of the most compelling frontiers in modern science. How the extreme hardships your ancient ancestors survived left chemical marks on their DNA. Marks that may still be shaping your body, your nervous system, and your emotional life right now. This is the science of epigenetics. This is generational trauma. And by the end of this video, the way you see yourself may never be the same. What is generational trauma? Let's get precise about what we mean, because this isn't metaphor, it's molecular biology. Your DNA is a sequence of genes. Those genes are like switches, on or off. Epigenetics is the study of what controls those switches. And one of the most unsettling discoveries in recent decades is this. Severe trauma can chemically alter how genes are expressed, and those alterations can be inherited, not through the DNA sequence itself changing, but through chemical tags, methyl groups, histone modifications that sit on top of the genome and regulate which genes fire and how intensely. These tags respond to extreme stress, and in some cases they pass from parent to child and even to grandchildren. We've seen this in modern populations. Children and grandchildren of Holocaust survivors show measurably altered cortisol profiles, the stress hormone your body releases under threat. Studies on descendants of Dutch hunger winter survivors, a devastating World War II famine, found higher rates of metabolic disorders and anxiety, generations removed from the original starvation. The body remembers what the person never experienced. Now extend that logic back 25,000 years. The Ice Age. During the last glacial maximum, roughly 25,000 to 19,000 years ago, much of the northern hemisphere was buried under ice. Not a harsh winter, not a cold decade, a multi-thousand-year epic of relentless, grinding cold. In Europe and Siberia, temperatures plummeted. The megafauna that hunter-gatherer bands depended on migrated unpredictably or vanished entirely. Archaeological records from this period are stark. Evidence of bone cracking for marrow, systematic scavenging from large predator kills, entire settlements abandoned as resources failed. Imagine the psychological reality of that life. You don't know when the next hunt will succeed. You've watched children die from cold. You've buried family members in frozen ground. The threat of starvation isn't a distant fear. It's the texture of every day. And for generations across hundreds of years, this was normal, not a disaster, a way of life. The human HPA axis, the hormonal system that governs the stress response, was being shaped by this reality in real time. Bodies that stayed on high alert, that metabolized food aggressively, that defaulted to vigilance rather than rest, those bodies survived. Those genes propagated. Agricultural collapse. The Ice Age ended, but the vulnerability didn't. As early agricultural societies emerged, humanity traded one kind of precarity for another. Instead of chasing unpredictable herds, communities now staked their survival on a single crop. One drought, one flood, one pest outbreak, and thousands starved. Ancient DNA analysis and skeletal evidence from early farming communities reveal exactly this pattern. Cycles of relative abundance, followed by catastrophic population crashes. Children born in the shadow of famine show biological signatures in their bones. Stunted growth, altered immune markers that parallel the epigenetic signatures researchers find in their modern descendants. Migration and loss. Then there's the weight of displacement. Ancient humans were not sedentary, driven by climate shifts, resource depletion, or conflict. They moved across continents, through mountain ranges, into unknown territories. They left behind ancestral lands, burial grounds, and community networks. They faced the profound grief of severance from everything familiar. This kind of loss, deep, structural, unresolved, leaves marks too. Not just cultural memory, but physiological memory. The nervous system of someone who has repeatedly lost their home, their people, their land doesn't simply reset. What this means for you. Here is the quiet, uncomfortable truth this science points toward. That restlessness you feel, that low-grade sense that something bad is coming even when nothing is, The way scarcity, real or imagined, shuts down your thinking? The difficulty trusting that safety will last? These are not character flaws. They're not signs of weakness or dysfunction. They are, in the most literal sense possible, echoes, biological memories of what it took to survive. Your nervous system running ancient software written in ice and famine and loss. Understanding that doesn't make the feelings go away, but it changes something profound about what those feelings mean. How they survived, here's what's remarkable. Our ancestors didn't just endure. They developed rich, sophisticated practices for metabolizing hardship. And many of those practices are available to us today, hiding in plain sight. Community as survival technology. Bands rarely process trauma alone. Around fire, they told stories, not just for entertainment, but as a form of collective emotional regulation. Grief was shared. Knowledge was preserved in narrative. Archaeological evidence consistently shows care for injured and elderly members, even when resources were scarce. The community didn't abandon its wounded. It carried them. That capacity for deep social bonding, the kind that doesn't break under pressure, was itself an adaptation. The body in motion. Ancient life was physically demanding by default. Tracking game across miles of terrain, foraging, building, moving. This wasn't incidental to their resilience. It was structural. Sustained physical movement is one of the most powerful regulators of the nervous system we know of. It metabolizes stress hormones. It signals safety to a hypervigilant body. Our ancestors didn't need to schedule it. It was simply what life looked like. Metabolic adaptability. Hunter-gatherers didn't eat 3 meals a day. Their relationship with food was cyclical. Periods of abundance followed by natural scarcity. Their bodies developed extraordinary metabolic flexibility, efficient fat storage, stable blood sugar across wide caloric ranges, resilience to extended fasting. This wasn't hardship, it was training. The same biological architecture still exists in us, largely untapped. Ritual and meaning. The most haunting evidence from this period isn't the weapons or the shelters, it's the art. Deep inside Ice Age caves, in chambers so remote that only a handful of people would ever see them, our ancestors painted horses, aurochs, handprints pressed against stone and ochre and charcoal. They buried their dead with care, adorned with pigment and ornament. They held ceremonies. They made music. In the midst of conditions that would break most modern humans within a season, they were creating meaning. They were transforming suffering into story, loss into ritual, fear into image on a cave wall. That is not a minor footnote. That is a profound statement about human nature. And it is what they passed forward. The inheritance. Here's the reframe this science demands. The hypervigilance that makes you scan every room. It once kept your ancestors alive in territories filled with actual predators. The scarcity mindset that tightens your grip on resources. It was the correct response to a world where starvation was always 2 bad hunts away. The difficulty relaxing into safety. It was adaptive in an environment where safety was never guaranteed. These patterns aren't malfunctions. They're features running in the wrong environment. And crucially, the same epigenetic mechanisms that passed forward the stress signatures also passed forward the resilience signatures. The capacity for deep community, the ability to find meaning in suffering, the physical adaptability, the creativity that flourishes precisely under constraint. You didn't inherit only the wound, you inherited the whole person. The practices that helped them survive, movement, community, storytelling, ritual, connection to natural rhythms, these aren't ancient remedies that no longer apply. They are, according to an increasing body of research, exactly what the inherited nervous system still responds to, still needs, still recognizes. Working with your ancestral biology rather than against it isn't nostalgia. It's precision. 25,000 years of human survival are folded into you right now. Every famine that was outlasted, every migration that was survived, every winter that was endured in caves while children slept against you for warmth. Those experiences left marks, chemical marks on genes that said, this is what the world is like. Be ready. And here you are, descended from every single one of those people, every ancestor who made it, every line that didn't break. That anxious vigilance, it has deep roots, but so does the part of you that tells stories, builds community, finds beauty, and adapts. The science of epigenetics is just beginning to map the full depth of what we carry, but it already tells us something important. You are not your patterns. You are the heir to them, and heirs can choose what to do with an inheritance. If this kind of deep ancestral thinking resonates with you, hit like and subscribe. We go here regularly on Ancestor Tactics. Drop a comment below. What patterns in your own life feel older than you? What do you think you might have inherited? We read everything. Take care of yourself out there. Your ancestors worked very hard to make sure you could.